We're live. Welcome back. This is Sonic Rascal, and this is the Nexus Wormhole. It's been a long week. I'm back with
Sound effects.
my guest host and number one monkey infiltrator, Leche de Mono. What's up, Leche de Mono?
Here to bring it back, bring everybody back after they've been spaced out all week long,
Right.
somewhere out of orbit. We're hitting the gravity lock. Everybody's falling back down to Earth full force.
Sure. It's been an interesting week, and all I have to say is, one of the main topics coming up is a lot of gimps need fostering.
People forget about the GIMP. People forget about codependency and how many people in the world are dependent upon other people. And there's nobody more dependent than the GIMP.
Yeah, freedom isn't free, so don't even know how to tackle that one. I've been exposed to all kinds of tests, medical tests. I've had to run down to do crazy operations this week for friends and people, and the medical system in the United States of America, it's falling apart. All I can tell you is no one is ready. People are telling you to wear a mask, and even if you're wearing a mask, there's a line you gotta stand on, and all kinds of crazy requirements, and I think the funny part for me was that the medical system here was ready to break. This corona was just that, it was like the sword that went right through it. I mean, I can't even explain to you how it's been, and I really feel for anyone out there that really needs medical attention, whether it's a surgery or any kind of emergency, you better buckle up. You better buckle up and put 2 parachutes on. When you jump off that plane, you better make sure that first parachute doesn't go off. You better hit that second one, because let me tell you, ain't nobody going to catch you right now.
That's a hell of an intro.
Thank you so much. Well,
But you're right in what.
Go ahead.
No, you're right about what you're saying in terms of the medical establishment right now.
God.
You were starting to see a lot of things. It's funny because chaos, as we're learning, comes in stages.
Right.
There's the initial impact.
Sure.
That, there's a sort of a chaos of anticipation.
Right.
Then then when you have the impact, then there's the shock chaos factor where it's chaotic, but at the same time, everybody's in this shock moment.
Sure.
And then there's a chaotic assimilation.
Right.
And I think that's where we are right now. I think the country, as at least where I am right now, not in the United States, but where I am, and I would assume it's probably the same in the States and in other places. They're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on and how to tackle this.
Right.
And there's a madness and a chaotic factor now of assimilation, because everything that's happening is brand new. It's like when you broke your legs, both legs, and they fucking took you out of the hospital, and they gave you what do you call them? The things I just went blank, but not the wheelchair, but what you basically the ones that carry you, your crutches. That's it. I had the word in another language.
It's been a
the
long
crutches,
week.
when they gave you crutches and you coming out and you've never walked with these motherfuckers before.
Hold on. I think of somebody, like you said, you've never walked with these motherfuckers, and all I can think of is the Dark Crystal, those crazy freaking animals that walk, like when those puppeteers had to learn to do all,
learn how to use it.
Yeah.
They learn how to use it.
Learn how to use
They
those
had no
crutches for
idea.
artwork. No, it's anyway. I totally agree with you.
And you go out there and you go. What I've been noticing is that I feel like in the world right now,
Yeah,
I think that we're overthinking this whole pandemic. And now we're
sure.
overthinking. It's like, and it's sort of, if you were it's almost like a really juicy time to be a kind of a psychiatrist or a psychologist, to
So
just look at how
right,
people react during these moments of stress,
right. Well,
because it feels like they're overthinking everything from when you get to point A, what needs to be done at point B. You need to make sure you sanitize every part of your body, it's from head to toe. And then
right.
you have to do this before you do that. And by the time you've done 14, 15 different steps, then, and finally, then are they going to hand you over the fucking, the Kit Kat?
I tell you what, it's that Kit Kat is one of the ugliest Kit Kats ever made in a corporation. That Kit Kat don't even break. You take a bite of that, your teeth are gonna come off.
Yep.
That Kit Kat you can't even buy it because they pretty much threw him out of an airplane for free and said, "Go ahead, buddy, open it up and take a big bite and see what happens." Because nobody knows what's going on.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. The people that know what's going on, basically, to me, they're just saying, "Well, I'm going to ride this out," and you know, eh, how can I even make sense of this? Somebody out there knows what's going on to a certain extent, but most people like you and I, that have to navigate, that don't have, that haven't taken a test, a corona test, or even know where to take a corona test, or even know if they're, they actually work, looks around these stores. They go into stores, and I am always just, you know flabbergasted about how there is really no common sense left. If you do believe there's a virus and people are inside a store and the workers are scared, you have to respect that in many ways. At the same time, you have to understand too that the workers wearing these masks, it's not really even healthy for them. I mean, I don't even know if breathing the air within these masks is actually going to harm them at some place. So it's where's the leadership? What do you do? Like, where's the guidelines? It's a complete, it's like, it's Ren and Stimpy is an old cartoon for people out there that don't know. It is a cartoon it's like an old cartoon of Ren and Stimpy that was never played, and Ren and Stimpy go to Corona Land and they go absolutely nuts, and they're running around with boogers coming out of their noses and freaking massaging themselves with freaking Corona oil, and it's like I said, I'm almost brain dead from the week I've had.
It's
It's
true about
not.
what you're saying today. As a matter of fact, I had to go into a store to get some essentials,
Sure.
and there was one boy was working there, one of the workers, and he had that mask on real tight, big old boy too, about 200-pounder, and that boy was
Thick boy.
standing there with the mask on,
Sure.
and he walked out of his register. He says, "I can't anymore," and he walked over to the coolers where the meat's at, and he opened up the door in the coolers,
Right, right.
and I just saw him shaking like this with the mask on. And I'll have you know, it was cold in there. So I
Oh
don't
my
know if that
God.
boy was getting mask fever.
Well, I'll tell you what, many thick people out there are going to be getting mass fever because if you can't breathe,
I don't
there's
know if it
no,
was hyperventilating. I don't know if it was
probably,
panic from being out there and seeing, other people,
sure.
everybody masked up. I don't know. But that boy broke. Then he ran right to the meat.
Well, I was almost in the same position. I went into to a drugstore to get believe it or not, get some ice cream because I had a coupon. I said, why not? And
Why not?
I saw a lady standing there wearing a mask, and she looked at me and she said, I don't know how long I can do this for. And I said, ma'am, are you talking to me? And she looked at me and said, did I say that out loud?
Mm,
People
people,
are breaking.
they are
People are
breaking.
breaking.
They are starting to break in all levels. But I, I there's two things about this: the way people are, the governments and different cities and counties are starting to approach the situation. They
Sure.
are overthinking this to the level where, in all honesty, they they're over complicating their own lives. They're complicating it about everything because essentially they're treating everybody like they have the disease.
Right.
Problem number one.
Right.
Okay, it's not, and people are walking around with fear.
Right.
They're fearful of just being outside. That creates an air of that air of panic starts creating completely, and this is the scary part, but completely um, unpredictable behavior in people.
Sure. Sure.
In the past couple of weeks, since I've been out and about, I haven't seen this much fighting, arguing, uh, shoving, pushing. I haven't seen this. It's just there's hostility in the air, and people are starting to get aggressive.
Right.
And there you're gonna. This is just the beginning of that, of how
Right.
people are getting. And then number two is, I think, if we weren't already disconnected before with the social media, phones, we've talked about this already on this program
Right.
about just the way people are and how they get lost in their, they're completely self isolated in this dream world of where they are their star.
Sure.
Now this new world that we're starting to walk into is this over sterilized environment where we're really going to lose human connection.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. And I
It's
think that,
what, 6 feet or 6 feet? Don't break it or else.
well, I also think that the the scary part for me, I mean, you nailed it. And I think every state's different. And New York, of course, is going to have different kinds of people, different public transportation, different way of living. You have skyscrapers, you have people that are more mixed together, and in certain places more stuck together. They share the air in the subway. I've lived there. So it's going to be different in Idaho. It's going to be different than Florida. It's going to be different in Utah. It's going to be different than even California. And some of these guidelines, you look at the politicians, and you realize, we have orangutans and we have like crocodiles and all kinds of animals that are power hungry, that don't really, they can't make decisions under pressure. They really shouldn't be there to begin with. And they overthought everything, and they've complicated things so much that now the real threat's going to be the mechanism that transports food to stores from an assembly or from a manufacturing company straight to the store. Packaging, storing, cooling, I don't even know. It's going to be so weird and strange. And the funny part is some of these states are taking up restrictions, but even if they do, people don't really know how to react. Like I saw, this news broadcast, and they opened up all the the barber shops in Georgia, and people are coming in and they're like wearing gloves, and they're wearing, like jackets and wearing big hats, and it's like, how can you get a haircut or a manicure wearing all that stuff? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm sure, like, the person doing the work would probably have to wear the mask. But the funny part for me is, I'm sure there's customers that go in and go, need a haircut, and you better cut my hair with the hat on. Good luck, buddy. I don't want no corona. Good luck, buddy. I totally see that.
Yeah.
And I look at Disney and I look at these corporations, and I'm wondering who is going to go to Star Wars land right now. What Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and what they're going to make? They're going to put the masks on. I guarantee you, the next Star Wars movie, they'll be wearing masks. It's going to be like, going to be like this. Ready?
Are you a Jedi? Yes. Can I see what you look like? Corona!
Straight freaking Corona. It's
Yeah,
going
that'll be the name of the fucking new Sith Lord.
that would be a great name.
Yeah.
Count Corona.
Yeah. Of the First Order.
Of the First Order.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because, again, all this is lending itself to, it's just opening the door to completely new, unpredictable, crazy behaviors that people are demonstrating, not just the public, but also the people in leadership. And you see it, and
Right.
it's funny because again, this is nobody spared in this, and how this whole fucking thing is playing out.
Nobody.
The other day I saw this thing on the news, and it was, I don't know, that one weird looking fucking bitch. She's a real fucking weird looking. She's got that butch ass haircut, that Maddow or something like that. I don't know. She looks like a dude.
It's at
And
CNN, Fox. I don't know.
NBC. I don't know.
Okay.
One of those channels. I don't know. And
is it a newscaster? Is that a reporter?
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah.
Okay, so a reporter from media
from whatever,
station.
some known media source.
Right.
And Mad Dog.
Mad Dog. Let's go on Mad Dog. All right.
Yeah. And old Mad Dog was saying, there's something wrong with Trump.
Right.
What's happening with Trump? And then she kept on asking, what is wrong with him? Sure. What is the matter? Why is he acting this way? Right. And then they went on to show the clips. I mean, the clips are fucking hysterical. They were hilarious. It was how Sir Duke fucking Carpet Brain comes out and they start slamming him with questions, and he can't handle it, and he starts yelling, China, China, China. That's all he can do. And then he gets up, and then he turns around, and he just walks out. And he couldn't take it. So it's funny to see the president along with these are the people that are supposed to hold it together, right? They can't.
No, they can't. And, I think, look, I look at Trump and I see somebody that wants to be a victim. He blames China. He blames the Democrats. He blames CNN. He blames everybody for being the president, for being for being president, right? And so he's like this. He reminds me of the big baby from Howl's Moving Castle. There's this grandmother in this anime movie. And there's this big baby this grandmother has in this Ghibli
I think
studio.
Spirited Away. I think it's Spirited Away with that big ass chunky baby.
Well, yeah, Spirited Away. That's right. It's not Howl's Moving Castle. I got my. Mm-hmm. And there's the grandma's taking care in a Spirited Away. Sorry about that. It's Japanese anime, and there's a big baby and he's jumping around and. Trump ain't got grandma. There's no grandma there to watch over him, so he blames everybody. And then you have Biden, who is going to try to take on him, and the guy can't even remember his name. He literally gets up there and he goes, "Hey, everybody, biting time. I'm biting time here, trying to just get to know you guys better." And then he comes out.
Fucking grandpa with Alzheimer's comes out. He's another fucking Reagan coming out, doesn't know his name.
I cannot believe if the Democratic Party wants to take out Trump. And let me tell you something about Spirited Away and Big Baby Trumpy. Big Baby Trumpy, he'll take you apart. He's got the weight. He's going to take, wait and see. When he takes on Biden, he's going to be sharp. He's going to sit his big diaper down top of his head because Biden ain't going to know what's coming. He's not sharp enough to take him. And he's he's nasty, baby. I'll tell you that. He's like a nasty baby. And literally there's clips of Biden talking about when he worked at a pool, how he used to love. I'm paraphrasing this. Seeing boys swim, their hairy legs
Oh, dear
touching
Lord.
them.
Yeah,
It,
he's one of those
it's
fucking
it
guys.
makes it like, what are you talking about? It's absolutely insane. It makes no sense. It's like, what does that have to do with politics? With
That's because he's
China?
fucking fading into twilight. That's why.
Straight twilight.
He's crossing over to the other side. We're talking about Biden. This fucking guy looks like the crypt keeper,
Right.
and he's going out there and he's trying to keep it together. And he's just saying whatever fucking shit they feed in his brain. Whoever's typing into his into his computer,
Sure.
into his mainframe, and he just spits it out. I've already been seeing all those crazy ads. They're already starting. I haven't seen one ad yet of Biden, but Trump's already wailing him. He's wailing him to kingdom come,
like I
beating
like
that boy down.
like I said, say what you want to say about Trump. You get him up there. He's been on the spotlight for a long time. I've seen him in WWF or whatever, the Wrestling Federation, doing all kinds of crazy sketches and, literally trying to body slam people. And he gets up there, he's got some kind of crazy switch that goes on and puts him on whatever Trump mode, where he's going to pick up Biden, body slam him, and look at him go, snap into a Slim Jim. Pretty much. That's what's going to be. Snap into a Slim Jim. Macho
Well,
Man, Macho Man. Love you, wherever you are.
well, I think that's sad, but
Randy Savage. Randy Savage.
the American public love that spectacle. That's what politics is now.
Well, that's
It's
what it
just
is. It's a wrestling match.
it's a big ringside match.
That's
It's
all it
in
is.
this corner, you got fucking Skeletor, and then on this corner you have big baby, carpet muncher baby, and that's the main event. And America
Oh,
pays the big money to see the two go at it.
right.
And at the end of the day, nothing gets done.
No, nothing.
But
Yeah,
to come back and sort of swing back around
sure.
to how we started on this whole whaling fest
Right.
is that even the big wigs right now are all doing unpredictable things. They're reacting in unpredictable ways. They don't really have an answer. And
Right.
it's amazing what the headline was that I read yesterday, which said, Trump states to the nation, we will keep working if there's a second coronavirus outbreak. It's like
What are you?
every
Well,
other nation is saying, and China's already done this several times, where they've tried to restart, they try to reopen, they see signs that even Wuhan and other places and other provinces where they see a spiking in the numbers, they have to shut back down, they close it up. Other places in other countries are doing the same thing. Here we're saying, no, this is America. God damn it.
listen.
And we're going to trample this bottom
Listen.
side of our
Ready? No,
boots.
hold on. Ready? We're gonna keep working because we're America. We're built. We're built on 4x4 trucks.
That's
Ready?
right.
Hold
And
on.
we run on diesel.
Yeah, let me tell you, what's the alternative? Ready? We're America. We're not going to go on a jazz cruise or a freaking or a Star Trek cruise or a Comic Con. What's the alternative? Of course, you got to keep doing something, just spreading lies, because I tell you what, I don't understand anything that's going on. This is the most confusing time. I mean,
I've ever lived.
well, yeah, me too. But even if I read about history in the 1930s, the stock market crashed. And then it took about 2 to 3 years for actually things to go really bad, because then people really were out of their savings, whatever hope they had of getting their money back, or whatever business they did in the 30s, or changing their lifestyle. So, all kinds of crazy stuff started happening. And then you entered around 1933, I believe. It got really bleak. And then you had the government come in, and places, even cities start, not started going bankrupt, but you saw the beginning of cities and counties, I guess, all across America going bankrupt. And I look at this, and the market crashed 3 times. It's actually going back up right now, which is absolutely doesn't make and he's stabilizing a little bit.
That is typical. They say
Of course
all
it is.
the
Yeah,
time. They always say
right.
when the markets are going to crash, the first things they do is rise.
Right. Well, I tell you
And
what.
of course they're gonna rise when they just pumped I don't know how many $1 trillion into the American citizen. Everybody's got a fat check. So everything right now is the illusion of a fake stimulation.
Sure.
And the economy, the line starts rising slowly, starts going up and going up. That's the delusion.
Right.
But then, you can have a crash when you're standing on the ground. You have to be up in the air when you can have a crash. This fucking thing has to rise up here so you could really see what's going to happen. It's going to crash. That is a given. And all markets typically rise before the crash.
Right. Well,
bubbles, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. They have all these weird terms. At the end of the day, it's going to fucking blow.
Well, I'll tell you what, the way I see it, everybody's using letters to define their recovery. And there is a letter, the L letter, where some economists say, oh, it's an L. We're going to have an L. L for loser, America. America, fuck yeah. That's how I feel. Because you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it goes up a little bit, and then what happens with the market is that it will eventually probably crash again twice as hard, and it would just be flatline dead probably. I don't even want to think about it because it's going to be. I actually think that this one might be. I'm going to go on and give a theory that it will crash, but I think that certain things like Netflix and other crazy things that everyone's using right now, those are the babies that people should have bought, because not people will still have to fly, and one airline or two airlines will still have to have some power behind them, either by government or by a corporation. So I think right now what's going on with the market going up, like you said, is it's like you said, it's like The Walking Dead when Rick is out there and he killed a bunch of zombies in the trailer, and there's one that's just slowly getting up, and he's like, I can't believe it's getting up again. And he takes his gun out, and eventually he's going to hit the ground again. If that makes any sense, it probably doesn't to a lot of people. What I'm saying is it's cleansing itself one more time. It's kind of the zombie's got enough energy to get up and try to take the good guy out.
But it's going to fall.
Oh, yeah, his jaw's missing, and he's got a little bit of bite left. But
it looks like Biden.
Straight biting. Yeah, I'm biting you. Tell you what, it's gonna bite. It's gonna bite.
It's funny you said Netflix, because Netflix, I read a headline.
Sure.
Another one yesterday said, and this was I don't know. I didn't even know how to take this headline, but it went like they were playing as Netflix was the hero somehow. They're like, Netflix is letting off their clients gently by turning off their accounts during the idle months. In other words, they're shutting fucking people's cable off because they can't pay the fucking bill.
Well, cable bill,
or they can't pay the Netflix bill. Not just cable. They're just shut. They notice accounts are being idle right now, so Netflix is temporarily suspending them. No, it's called fucking closing your account. You didn't pay the piper.
That's right. Roddy Piper. Let me tell you. So the way I see it is there's going to be a lot of terminology, like you said, suspended, levitated.
All these words.
Ready? All these words you're going to call, and I'm sure even cell phone companies and data companies, I don't even know. They're going to be like, well, you're going to call and you're going to say, well, I can't make a phone call. My data plan, it's not working. Sir, your plan has been levitated. Why? It's in levitation mode. They're going to come up with new fucking terminology, guarantee it. And you're going to be, what does that mean? It's just levitating right now. It's okay. Give us 24 hours and we'll see what we can do for you. I need to make a phone call. It's levitating, sir. I don't even know where it is, sir. It's in the cloud. It's up there. I have no access. Please call this other number. You're going to call that other number? And they're going to be like, sir, did you just call the first number? Yes, they told me it was levitating. Then they're going to be like, Well, now it's completely in levitation. It's not levitating anymore. What do you mean levitation? It has surpassed levitating and it's in levitation. And then you're gonna be like, what? Second phase, second phase.
Yeah, second phase. And you know what that's called? We fired everyone in the company. We don't
That's
fucking nobody can work to take care of you except
right.
this machine.
Right.
Um, you know what I'm sick of? I'm gonna tell you what I'm sick of. I'm sick and tired of these ads and every fucking email that I get that says we're working hard right now because of COVID for you.
Cody. Let me tell
I,
you.
what are you? Let's before just okay. What is my bank doing for me right now because of COVID?
Milking you. They're waiting to see how much you pay, how much you got, and what's gonna. They're
Right.
doing the
What are the
trajectory.
credit card companies? All these credit card companies are issuing statements how hard we are working for you during COVID. Where the fuck is the brainwashing techniques here, and who is literally putting this sauce on the sandwich?
I'll tell you what kind of sauce it is. It's Hellman's mayonnaise, but it's been left out for 3 years outside in the hot, humid sun somewhere in Louisiana, and they're spreading it all over everything because what they're trying to do is create a look. This is the scary part of what's coming. What's coming is that nobody knows what's coming. So I'm sure banks are trying to figure out. No, banks right now they're trying to
Unpredictable
figure out,
behaviors.
right. They're trying to figure out who's going to be able to pay their mortgage, who's not. What do
Right.
you do for a living? Medical, maybe. I guess, Kobe for another 3 years. So if you get sick, well, we'll send you the bill, blah, blah, blah. But the scary part for me is going to be renters. Now, I'm going to make a big, how do I say? I have a theory.
Prediction.
Prediction. I don't like predictions, but I have a theory that around August, late August,
Rascal theory.
straight Sonic Rascal theory. Another stimulus check is coming, and we talked about another episode. They'll probably go out and buy the next generation George Foreman grill, the 3080 that can do not just pigs, it can do ducks, and if you get a little bit crazy, you can stick a freaking iguana in there. All three of them at the same time. That's being developed right now somewhere in Wuhan. Okay, they're working on the Kobe. They're working on the grill, the 3000 series for George Foreman. Okay,
Don't forget what gets them in to buy nachos.
not just. And then what's going to happen is when people don't have money to pay the rent, that's going to be crazy, Leche. Let me tell you, I
Real
see
deal.
it's, and we talked about this, and I can't seem to get off it. I like to cover arts and music and something else, but we're stuck on this COVID.
No, because we're living this shit.
We're living through it, and I see these people that not being able to pay. What are they going to do for a living? I mean, usually what happens in history, like in Rome or in Egypt, or I don't know, the dark ages, is people start going into groups and robbing other people, and crime goes up, and there's a lot of misconduct and disorder, and then the government starts taking more freedoms away. Because it's funny, I saw a video of a guy in Costco going in, and he wasn't wearing a mask, and the manager came on and said, you have to wear a mask if you want to be in here. And the guy said, freedom, freedom. Now listen, I understand that. You're free to go somewhere else too, buddy. Look, this is going to be crazy. The people working are probably scared to death. They are terrified. They probably know people that have got COVID that weren't too healthy, that might even died, and they're terrified. They wear these masks. They don't even know what the masks are doing to them. They're stressed out. And you have other people that don't believe in it, don't really care. And there's going to be a clash between that. I already see that happening and getting worse. Okay. And I'm not saying, I can't give an opinion of who's right and who's wrong there. If I was working at a Walmart or a Costco or any of these places, and some of my coworkers got the COVID and they really had a horrible death, I would probably be terrified. I have to deal with all these people. Or how about people that are coughing all over you? I don't even know. But what's going to happen is you're going to have a clash of ideology, and then you're not going to be able to pay the rent. And let me tell you, Kurt Russell's coming back, and it's going to be Escape from America. Okay, I don't even think they even made that movie, but he's going to be, I got to get out of the States. Snake Blitz, Snake.
Yeah.
I got to get out. Why, the Kobe. It's not even going to be Kobe, bro. I see all these people going crazy, like especially at the beaches in California and in Florida, and going Mad Max and putting like baby powder all over their nipples and freaking just dressing up with like the latest Mad Max, they were wearing COVID masks. They were the bad guy in the
Oh
latest Mad Max.
yeah.
I think he
Hmm.
had a mask. Didn't he have a mask? That was like a
Yeah, he had a big old
okay.
fucking
We're gonna call that the
new Hoover in his mouth and his fucking
right.
bunch of
We're,
tubes.
we're gonna call that the COVID Aussie Kangaroo 4000 freaking diesel
Yeah, the
mega
Aussies
truck.
might come up with that thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, straight Aussie. Those actors were all either
Yeah.
mostly Australian or New Zealanders or British or I don't know. But anyway, it's not going to be good. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any plans. I mean, literally, what if you start seeing more break-ins and more crazy? What I mean, it's what are these people thinking? I mean, I know
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
me and you
Yeah,
have
I think
plans.
it's.
Me and
I
you have
think.
plans to leave and go somewhere else. Where
Well, you have to have a plan.
yes, you
You have to be
do.
prepared because you're no longer at the point of talking about, um, that scenario that you used to talk to people about or friends about. That if something ever went wrong, what would you do? Now it's not a
No, you're
what. Now we're in the something's gone wrong.
right.
What are you gonna do?
Right.
What is your plan? And if you
Right.
don't have a plan, and I hate to say this, and I'll be blunt about it, but if your plan is to rely on the government to take care of you,
It's a horrible plan.
guess what? Turn around, pucker them buck cheeks up, and wait for that nice shot they're about to give you, because they're gonna euthanize you. They're gonna put you
Uh,
straight to bed. If you are in the future that we're looking at, what's coming in the future, from what we see right now,
right.
this and I said it before, I said it on the first program, and I'll say it again. This to me was a man-made disease, a man-made virus that was shot out there. They fucked with this thing in the lab. They made this. I don't know who made it. China. I don't know if it was the United States. I
Sure.
don't know. But somebody is meddling in the dark arts here. And they went ahead and they shot the stuff out into the atmosphere. And I'll tell you what, it started knocking out the elderly. It started knocking out the weak. And why? Because eventually it's going to get to the point where it's down only to the strong. It's not just strong physically, but also strong mentally.
Mentally. It's mostly
People,
mentally.
you have to start looking outside of your everyday box, your little box that you have. Get out of just this mode and start looking outside the box. Start analyzing.
See,
Start Stop doing what you're being told to do and start thinking for yourself. Start reasoning. Put
right.
down the fries, put down the chips. Start thinking ahead of time, because before you know it, when they start knocking doors down and they start taking you in, they freeze your bank accounts, they take your vehicles, they tell you stay put and stay quiet. You don't have a plan B. If you're going to be sitting there waiting on the government, you never had a plan B. You're not going to know what's going to be coming your way. That's it.
I
You're out
mean,
of the game.
yeah, I don't want to scare anybody listening to this podcast. You never know who might be listening. So what I will say, and I totally agree with you, have a plan. May not be a big plan, but understand something that you might be on your own. You will eventually be on your own. And maybe for some miracle, somebody up in legislation may pass something, some guidance or something that makes that brings common sense back to America. But to me, we have a different opinion. Whether this was man-made or not, to me, I don't. The COVID is out, and this is, whether somebody let a bat out of the place, whether somebody grew it, and whatever happened, the thing is real, and people are taking opportunities with this disease and with this virus and with the laws. They're going to change them. They're going to try to change them. They're going to do what benefits them. The power always want to stay in power. Go back to Rome. Go back to any history. They don't let it go easily. They don't like to change their lifestyle. You cannot be a billionaire, and all your families have been, billionaires for years, and then you've lived in all these hotels, and now you have to go live in a trailer. Who I don't see that happening. I just don't. These people are gonna manipulate the system so you pay. The middle class, the lower middle class, the whoever you want to, even maybe people that have a couple of million, they're screwed if they don't have a plan. So everyone out there, we're not trying to scare you, but you should be a little bit scared if you don't have critical thinking. Look it up. If you haven't made this, if you really think that everything may be running, that the water may not be cut off, that things may get worse. And let me tell you something, there will be signs. And the only thing I can tell you for me is I wouldn't panic right now, but put attention the next couple of months. I kid you not. Look into, start seeing what happens when people don't pay the rent, they can't get the jobs. What are the landlords going to do? Are they just going to sit there and be like, oh, you don't have to pay rent? You just, just, that, look at the crime. All these things are going to come together, and it's not going to, the funny part, what I get really scared, Leche, is it's not really about the COVID or where it came from, or, all those things are horrible. Growing in a lab, absolutely horrible. Is the after effects and how people are handling right now. It's absolutely nuts when you go into a store and you say, well, if a store's handling it like this, how are the police going to handle it if it gets crazier? How is the military going to handle it? And I
Well,
don't know. That scares me. That terrifies me.
see, this is the thing, and we again maybe we're beating a little bit of that horse here, but I'll reiterate it maybe our new listeners.
Sure, sure.
Maybe they didn't catch the first couple podcasts, and if they do, well, you
Right.
can rewind a little bit, listen to the first ones. But
Sure. Great.
I think, yes, you say regardless of whether it comes from bad,
Weaponized or whatever.
whether it was weaponized, it's there, and that's for
Right.
real. That's the
Right.
truth.
Right.
Um, but again, we, the general public, is getting misled
Yeah.
by the distractions of the disease.
Right.
And you made this comment last time we spoke. You made the comparison of a magician, the magician's hand, and it's this.
Misdirection.
Yeah,
Misdirection.
and this is
Right.
misdirection for as
Yeah.
much for we were talking about just earlier about the chaos. This chaos, this misdirection, this unpredictability of the uncertainty of the times that we have lends itself as a complete victory
Right.
and a free take all approach for the masters of power.
Right.
Because right now, there are people in control.
Right.
And these people in control, and I'm not talking about the donkeys wearing the red ties. I'm not talking about the Democrats rocking their blue ties.
Right.
I'm not talking about other world governments and their minions. I'm talking about the people that we don't really know, but we
Right.
know who they are.
Right.
The shadow movement, League of Shadows, the ones
Right.
that are really moving this world. And this is the moment. And I'm going to make a comparison right now. Exactly. And people are going to, maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to assume, maybe some will come to this conclusion that this is conspiracies and paranoia, whatever.
Sure. Sure.
Everybody's free for their opinion. But in Batman Begins, the League of Shadows create this uncertainty, this chaos. They start gassing everybody, and everybody starts going crazy. And
Fear.
and
Fear.
through this fear,
Right.
and through this process of fear, they brought down nations. Now, this is just the fictional approach of what they wrote in the Batman comic books
Sure.
of how the League of Shadows would take down governments, and how they've always been the one that cleanses, how they've always purged the different world states, world governments, whenever, I mean, just governments, countries, whenever they reached too high in the sun and thought they were bigger than they needed to be,
Right.
when everything needed to be brought back and rebooted, how these people come in and do that. I don't agree with that, the actual process of any of that.
Right.
But can it be done? Can somebody do that? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There
Yeah.
are people that run the world, not run the country. They run the
The
world.
world. Yeah. New
And
world
these
order. Right.
people right now are benefiting from this. And
Yes,
what
they are.
the question here, so now we've talked about chaos, we've talked about misdirection, we've talked about all these things that people are completely occupied about, because we're just talking about going to the store and we're talking about this and how we're so occupied and people are freaking out. This is day-to-day living. But
Sure.
now let's talk about the new world order. Let's talk
Right.
about the ones, and I don't know, we say new world order because that's what you've been hearing people say. This, we don't know what they're called, whatever the
Right.
fuck they're called.
Right.
Okay, they could be called, the donkey's fucking hairy ass for all we know.
People that own a lot, that have a lot of money, own a lot of corporations, and have everything to lose and everything to gain from this. So they're not going to lose their assets. They're not going to lose their power. They're going to make sure that they maintain it. And they use, look,
There's
you
always
know,
an opportunist
right,
in a scenario of somebody's downfall.
right,
Somebody always wins when somebody else loses,
right,
and somebody's winning in this, I'm telling you. And this is something where I say, regardless how it was that it came about to be, I believe it was predetermined,
right.
premeditated, and now it's being executed. And this
Sure.
will not, this, I don't believe, like the flu, this is going to be the last we're going to hear of this coronavirus. This isn't going to go away. Even if
Well,
they contain it, it goes down to case zero. Like the flu, it'll keep coming back. What are they going to be doing? They're going to start shutting down the country every time it comes back. They're going to be, they can't do that. So this is coming in a global scale to, bro, this is, this is undiscovered country.
it's
All of this.
completely undiscovered. And the thing is, I think you're right. The way I see it is, think of it as, you know, whether it was created to cause exactly what it's causing right now, or whether it was created to cause something else, the fear that this virus and this pandemic has created, you know, will put every big player on alert, and they're studying it, they're benefiting from it. You know, sociologists and people that are into studying fear and, any kind of, I mean, the funny part is that all this can be weaponized. The media plays whatever they want to play. They're all completely left or right, and there's just, the funny, the irony of all this is sometimes I look at it and I go, well, somebody could be telling the truth in that broadcast. Maybe there's some truth about this virus. And then I look at three or four different, like whether it's Fox, CNBC, or CNN, or whatever, CBS, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
their message is completely different. And I think, well, who benefits from all the media being completely against each other or playing each other out? Somebody does. Somebody does. And that person, I'm going to tell you guys, I the sad part for me is that I do understand some of the Trump supporters. They're all about freedom and don't take my freedom with this and that. They're just completely retarded morons. But this is the funny part. You're not really free, man. Now, if you're really going to
No.
swallow that pill, go ahead and pretend that because you're carrying all these weapons and you can go buy a weapon, that makes you free. I don't think so. When they do the research in this vaccine and tell you, we came up with a vaccine, it's been tried, listen, for any vaccine to be actually safe, it has to be tried for at least, I would say, at least 3 years, 3 to 5 years. And
3 to 5 years.
that's,
Proven tested studies.
yeah. And that, even in that case, you could have some tainted ones you can have, but when they make it mandatory, it's exactly we're going back 20 minutes ago, maybe 30 minutes, have a plan, because you don't know what's
It's a police state
good
at that
luck. Yeah,
point. It's a
it'll be a
police
police.
state.
If it's
When you're telling
mandatory,
you it's a mandatory thing, it's a police state.
right? And that's going to be really scary because you don't want to be in the middle of that. You don't want to be in the middle of all the freedom fighters going, yeah, I'm going to take a shot, and then maybe the government, who knows, who'll be in power, will be
Well,
like, yes,
tell me how people are going to react.
I have
Not
no.
even the. This is how simple this is. Tell me how people are going to react when they have somebody say, "No, I don't want to take the shot." What do you think that people are going to say?
Well,
They're going to
that's
call you an American.
look.
They're going to say that you are
Right.
a public threat, that
Mhm.
you are going to want to endanger my. If we already have these arguments with
Right.
basic
Right.
vaccines,
Right.
which is such a big hot topic, can you imagine what people are going to be acting like when they have the coronavirus vaccine? Because now
I
the coronavirus vaccine has been amplified so much. The pandemics of COVID have been amplified so much in a world scenario that you're not dealing with just the pressure of a town. You're dealing with
right.
this world pressure, and everybody's going to be expected. Everybody is going to be
Right.
expected to take this. I
Well,
believe that it's a mandated thing, and it's just a matter of time.
I don't know. I always believe that the best way to do it is to have a plan, be smart, and dodge if you can. Don't be in the middle of a fight like that. It's going to be crazy. Have some kind of idea where you want to go, where you want to be, and where they can't really touch you. It's not mandated. I don't know. You figure it out. I'm not going to tell you. You got to do your own homework, people out there. But it could come down to that. And for me, speaking for myself, will probably make the best effort to just be somewhere where I, I'm not in the middle of a force of a bunch of either rednecks or crazy, you know, who knows? They don't have to be hillbillies. They don't have to be rednecks. They could be completely normal citizens that just love to polish their guns every night and look at them. They could be Wall Street guys.
Waiting to
Not
use them.
not to use terminology. I don't want to be in the middle of that because that could lead to a civil war. I kid you not. And
There
I mean
will be there
that
will be some kind of a civil
that's the
war.
worst case scenario, guys. The worst case scenario. But
Yeah,
all we're saying is have critical thinking, look at signs, look if things start getting weirder, and then crime goes up, and then they start talking about there's a vaccine in a couple of months, and a bunch of people tried it. Who tried it? Start asking questions. See see what media is actually telling you the truth. Can they even prove it? Where are all these people's names? What's it doing? Is the vaccine actually? What are the side effects of the vaccine? Everything has side effects, guys. Everything has side effects in medicine. Everything. A Tylenol, any kind of pill has a side. What are the side effects? Is it going to give you some kind of crazy nervous disease? I mean, look, I don't like like you said, misdirection. I love Houdini. He was a great magician. Google him. Misdirection. He can tell you a lot about it. Houdini took on the spiritualist, and he pretty much he busted all of them because he really wanted to believe that one of them could speak to his dead mother, and he saw all the tricks, wires under tables, all kinds of crazy things that, hit the table twice and there's a ghost in here. And he did it because he really wanted to believe. So misdirection, guys, this could be like a big magic trick to, who knows? This is a crazy time we're living in. Anybody who
well,
tells you,
every time that we've had big world events that, and we've talked about this, that have impacted history. It's been one or some sort of misdirection that has shaped that.
right,
There's always been something, and we've talked about this before, from what happened with the Nazis, how Hitler was appointed, how Hitler was given power, the things that happened with Mussolini, with Stalin, things that happened in this country, the
right,
Vietnam War. All of
right,
these things were fucking mirages. They
right.
were delusions.
So somebody,
The Gulf of Tonkin was a delusion. It was a mirage. It was painted like it happened, and it wasn't that way. And that paved the war to Vietnam. And it was never the way that they said it. That the way the critics said it, the way they painted it, the way the media put it together, the stories were not true. And these things create same thing that happened when we invaded Afghanistan, when we invaded Iraq, Iran, based on what? Based on the fact that 9/11 happened and somebody had to be at fault. What happened in 9/11? There was misdirection. What happened in 9/11? There was uncertainty. There was chaos. There was distractions. There was anger. There was emotion. All of these things, man. This is the perfect cocktail for 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 anybody to react and say, yeah, go get those bastards, have them pay for what they did. And right now, I hate to say this, um, but and I'm not, this has nothing to do with my views politically to any country, or my views to the country that I'm a citizen in whatsoever. It's just a reality. They
Right.
are painting China as the bad guy here,
Right.
and that is not the case, because again, all of the misdirections, all of the illusions that they're putting forth, we're there every day. You hear more and more how America has to hate China. Why?
We buy everything from China.
But
You know,
why do we have to hate China?
no, and look, let's just say, me and Leche, we have our opinions, we have our theories, but I will tell you what I read from history very quickly. No matter what happens, vaccine, no vaccine, freedoms are gone, new rules are stated. If there is a depression that comes, and and let's say somehow people get used to this craziness, if there's a depression that comes, there might be somebody that comes along 3 to 5 years from now, would have to be after the next election. So let's say 5 to 6, just like the young artist who was frustrated, who was a great soldier in World War I, who was an artist, and he came along and he took his whole country by surprise, and he created all these wonderful new ideas. And yes, I'm talking about Adolf Hitler. And the worst thing that can happen is another world war. That is the worst thing that can happen. And like me and let's just say, I can tell you right now, I don't know what's going on. I know that people are scared. Some are questioning everything. Some are terrified. And the craziest thing for me is that I know there's misdirection going on, but like the puppet master, I can't see him. It's almost like I can see the strings and I see strings coming down, and I don't even know where the strings are hitting. I just see people. When I see people jump, I was, oh, well, there's a string over there probably somewhere, but I cannot see all of it. It's so hard. So the only thing I can say personally, because is put attention and have a plan, like we're saying. Going back to what we've been saying, it's have some kind of plan, because I can't see it, Leche. It's very hard
Well,
to see. It's very
what I
hard to see
see
it.
is this. This is what I see. I think there has, that I know of, at
Right.
least in my time,
Sure.
and what I've known and what I've read and what we've learned through history, I don't think there's ever been a time in human history
Yeah.
where the world has been affected as a whole
Right.
at one singular moment in time.
Right. Right.
So, whereas in the past, the effects were always in specified regions, let's say Japan, Germany, World War II happens, Britain gets involved, the States get involved, France is sort of somewhere in the middle. These were disputes between specific places.
Right.
Now we have the stage is opened up for the world. The
Right.
world is going through this moment in unison. This allows, for the first time in history, for world leaders, all of them, to
Right.
communicate about coming together on a unilateral decision. So this is where I see, this is where the first part of the New World Order comes into play. Why? Because you can't say there's a one world government if you don't have a one world united machine that works together.
Right.
Now, for the first time in history, we have, this is the beginning. We will talk about this shit in 40, 50 years and fucking remember today and remember what's going on and say this was the moment where where things started.
Right.
Now the world is communicating together for the first time. All the world leaders, just like me and you are having these fucking these little, you know, these little, you know, party sessions, that
Get-togethers, right.
these little get-togethers, me and you're
Satellite
talking.
links, satellite links.
There's
Right.
satellite links of all world leaders that sit down together, not at the United Nations, not doing United Nations business, but world affair business, when they're talking, getting together about what are we going to do as a world.
Right.
Okay, so that's step number one. So here comes the New World Order. So
Well, they would have to
you,
do monetary would be next. So if the
what do
inflation
you
goes
need?
up,
First, you
well,
have
you got to knock people's
cooperation.
cooperation.
Cooperation is
They
number one.
create
We
a
have
plan.
cooperation.
Right. Create a plan. Right.
Two, the plan.
Well, it's
Number
money.
three will
It's
be
gotta be money.
currency. Now,
Right. But
there's already several. I mean, we've been hearing about currency unification for a very long time.
forever. Yeah.
But what was the difference? You know, I don't know if you remember.
No.
For a long time,
Right.
we heard at some point a long time ago, you had people talk about Social Security, and
Yeah.
they said, "Oh, you know, I hear that one day, you know, we're gonna have Social Security," and it's this. When all of a sudden one day, boom, you had Social Security.
Right.
One day you had people talking about, oh, you know, the possibility of maybe they're going to have a vaccine of such and such thing. And then one day, boom, it happened.
Right.
You know, these things happen. And usually they happen after this rumor mill of talk of things happen. We've been hearing about the unification of a monetary system for a very long time. I have at least heard about this for at least a good 15 years. That's me since I got involved in everything I got involved in. Now, more than ever, are we close to finally signing the documents that will allow for a world united currency. Now, why would that happen? Why would we need a world united currency? Well, if the world is economically going to shambles, if the world economies are crashing, and there is no way that, you know, it's not just the economy of the United States that's crashing, it's the world economy.
It's superpowers and everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not just saying, oh, you know, yeah, Trump, you know, and his goons, and they're worried about reigniting the economy for the United States. It's not just the United States.
No,
It's the world economy.
right. It's the machine.
So
Globalization.
what saved Europe when Europe was in disarray economically? The
Well,
euro, the unification of
sure.
their currency in all of Europe, right? And there's states that are protected. The lesser economically prosperous states, let's say, for example, Greece, Portugal, the Czechs, those republics, I don't know, maybe Estonia, whatever. I don't know if Estonia is a Euro country or not. But there's other countries that are not as prosperous. Let's say Turkey, that's another country.
Right.
Ukraine, another country, which the euro protects them.
Right.
Now, that helps them a lot. Now, if the world economy is going to suffer as bad as it's going to be, and it will be bad, the unification of a world currency makes total sense. Absolutely. So I see that these are the things I see in terms of how the strings, the puppet master is starting to show itself from a lot of things we've been hearing for a long time. Now nobody's asking some of these questions because they're so caught up in the everyday bullshit of coronavirus. That's the misdirection. Open up your eyes. So what happens? We have one world currency. Now we have, along with one world currency, we have a one world military industrial complex.
Sure. Sure.
Okay. That's going to be where I believe we're going to have the first steps to World War III. because I truly believe that there's going to be certain countries that will oppose. And when you have a, majority vote, and then you have a China, you have a Russia,
Right.
you have, maybe some of these communist countries that do not believe at all and will not drink that Kool-Aid,
Right.
then you're going to have the muscle of the superpowers say for the first time. And when I say the superpowers here, I'm talking about United States,
Right.
talking about England, and I'm talking about the Vatican. And these
Right.
three, the Trinity here, because let me tell you, there is, and we already talked about it, and I will repeat it again. The Pope Francis has already started unifying religions.
Right.
So we
Right.
have unification of religion, unification of world currency. We have unification of world calamities. That's all paving its way forward to what I really and honestly believe will be a new radical system that's going to change completely the format of what we live. There is a before coronavirus and there will be an after.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep attention to those signs because definitely the monetary thing will definitely be something to put attention to because they definitely there'll be a vote, there'll be some kind of change, there'll be I don't know. It's to me, like I said, it's none of this is good. So
It's amazing
it's
how many these things tend to happen. And if you rewind back to 9/11,
yeah.
I don't know how many different laws were put into action and how many laws were signed into, constitutional, amendments
Sure.
during the time of 9/11. But there were so many things that were, now remember, there is for the power mongers, there's a very short window to do a lot of things to get away with before that window closes. And why is that? The reason is because they know that sooner or later people start asking questions. It's always the same way. The first thing that happens when there's some kind of criminal act is there's reaction, then there is confusion, and then afterwards there is contemplation.
Right.
And then when you count, and then this is what's happening now. People are right now in confusion and all of these. This is the best time for them to sign, put into law. That's why we're getting these stimulus checks are being written out and they're sending them and they're making all these laws. They're doing this. They're hurry up, let's sign this. They got their team of lawyers. And right now I urge all our listeners, I also urge the rascal himself. If you haven't seen this movie, it's called The Report. I
Right.
urge you to watch it. It's a very good movie about all the CIA's uh, involvement in the torture scheme when we started torturing all of the supposed terrorists after 9/11, and that violated every law of the Geneva Convention. And then eventually all those pictures came out about how we had all these soldiers sitting on top of these hooded fucking naked supposed terrorists, and we're doing all this nasty stuff and peeing on them and all this nasty, I mean, acting like pure animals. So the movie talks and shows how during these times of crisis, how fast these governments act and what they enact and put into law under people's noses without people knowing about it. So they
Mm.
can literally protect themselves. And right now, they are signing all kinds of laws into effect that are going to be protecting them for all this nasty, dirty shit they're doing during the
Yeah.
coronavirus.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely everything that's happening right now is going to lead to a bigger rabbit hole. And like we said, just put attention to the news and your neighbors and your stores and have a plan. You never know. Have a plan, and I think it's time to switch this to a better topic because you know this rabbit hole, my friend, it's so big and it's so wide that we could spend days covering it. And it's there's always the human spirit, and you guys stay alert, stay strong, and we're gonna switch it up to the arts. All right, Leche. What's the last Christopher Walken movie that you
So I
saw?
guess I'm holding something up right here. You want a little something to laugh about?
Ladies and gentlemen,
The great.
one of the funniest comedians, Richard Pryor. Richie
Listen,
Pryor.
it's not all seriousness. It's not all that. You know, we're blowing the whistle on a lot of things, but you know, comedy sometimes is some of the most upfront, honest, and real,
It's the
in your
truth.
face
The truth
truth talk
covered
that you
up.
can get about everything that's happening. You
Right.
can still laugh at it.
Right.
And if you want to go there, there's nobody better than Richard Pryor.
No,
That
Pryor.
man will make you laugh. And I highly recommend, if you haven't seen him before, especially maybe some of the newer audiences, that listening
Right.
to some of these guys like Kevin Hart and Cat
Right.
Williams and
It all came from Pryor. A
it
lot of it. I'd
all
say
listen,
90%. I
just
mean,
the way, you know, maybe modern jazz was influenced by Charlie Parker and
right.
Miles Davis,
Right.
uh, guys like Richard Pryor, and Rodney Dangerfield and Don Rickles.
Don
Um,
Rickles. Now you're blowing hard.
these guys are they're the fathers of that kind of comedy,
Yeah.
and definitely you
Just
got to hit
like
them, enjoy
jazz.
them.
Yeah, jazz has, Louis Armstrong, and you have the cool period with Miles Davis. You have Coltrane coming in and blowing things that no one's ever heard before, using that sax as a as some kind of intergalactic space volt. And
Vessel.
yeah, you have these comedians, but I always also go back to Pryor, because I mean, I don't know before Pryor. I'm not an expert, but Pryor to me is where it starts.
Well, he
That's the
changed it.
nastiest,
He
one of the
changed the game.
nastiest. Yeah, he changed the game, and he his attitude, the way he acted, the way he formed phrases, just his appearance. I mean, he was just funny. You look at him and you just want to smile and laugh. I mean, even
Yep.
even before he spoke, it's yeah. Comedy is a great art, and we always try to keep it light here in Nexus Wormhole, because it's a wormhole, guys.
That's
All of
it.
this is
You
a
don't know where
wormhole.
it's going to take you next.
We don't
But the one
know.
thing I enjoyed, I always learned to appreciate later on about Pryor. At first, you
Right.
always laugh
Well,
and you know,
he grew up. His mother was a prostitute, I think,
yeah.
and
No, this guy, I mean, he had it bad. He had
right,
it bad. So I mean, when you come from an abused, you
childhood,
know, background,
right,
childhood, it either swallows you up or you take a
become
sword
resilient, right,
and you become resilient and you sharpen that blade and you find what works for you. And for Pryor, it was humor. But what was amazing to me later on, I got to appreciate more about Pryor was how much he really brought the social commentary of what the American Negro was going through
yeah,
and brought it to the forefront.
right.
And
It's
it was part
culturally
of
beautiful,
it
beautiful
was
culturally.
culturally beautiful. It was showing people what the Negro was all about and what they were going through. That
Right,
before that, and man, it was swept under the rug.
right,
And to me, a lot of it too was, even though it was after the civil rights movement and all the things that had happened, those were the beginning stages of the fruits of the civil rights movement,
right.
the results of that. And Pryor, man, that boy, he looked skinny, he looked weak, but you
He's a
give him a
genius.
mic, that bucker will tear you down.
He's a
He could just
genius.
say something and say it in a way, it was just amazing. And it's still worth it, going back and seeing his comedy,
Right.
one of a kind.
Yeah, one of a kind. He. I remember. I watching movies with him and
Gene
Gene
Wilder,
Wilder, and
which I have much respect to Wilder too.
what completely different opposites. And Gene Wilder being his own genius in his own sense, and putting those guys together and just seeing what they could do. And I wish they would have made. I wish they would have made more movies. I wish they
Yeah.
would have. They would have gone a little longer because they were both at the top of their game, I guess, back in the day, and you can see some of those movies through, I guess, stream them and see genius at work because they don't make movies like that anymore, guys. I mean,
No.
the comedy now it's completely different. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of funny guys out there, but it's all becoming a Netflix special. And let me tell you, hopefully, it doesn't become too saturated where you just don't want to watch them anymore. I mean, I don't know, Leche. I'm straight in the wormhole. But we wanna thank you guys for listening, and we hope everyone out there is safe. We hope everyone out there is using critical thinking, and stay optimistic. And remember, you have the power. Your perspective creates your day. Be kind to your neighbors. Be kind to people. Respect people as much as you can. But also, be like Batman. Have something in the bat cave that'll help you out if times get rough. Anything else to say, Leche, before we sign off?
Well, don't forget about your neighborhood gimp. You know, there's a really good story out on the Onion. If you guys are interested, I'll just flash it by you real quick.
Flash it.
I think it's a powerful little story here. People forget about the gimps. Quarantine leading to more people taking in foster gimps.
There you
Yeah,
go.
this is the effects of coronavirus right here. I'll read a little bit in closing. It says, in these trying times where social isolation is the norm, companionship has become a top priority for many Americans, which is why it's no surprise more rescue subs than ever before are now finding their forever dungeon.
Forever dungeons. We're going to leave you with that. Please stay awake, use critical thinking, and do not end up in a forever dungeon. For the love of God, none of that lifestyle is no good. All right, guys. Signing off. This is Leche de Mono and Sonic Rascal. This has been another episode of the Nexus Wormhole. See you guys next time. Stay safe.
You are in the Nexus Wormhole.
You are in the Nexus Wormhole with your host, Sonic Rascal.